The desert was quiet. The wind moved slowly over the golden sand. The sun was hot and cruel. There was no sound of life, no birds, no machines, no people. Only the burning silence of endless dunes. But then came a man. His name was Eli. He was a repairman, traveling alone in his old crawler. His ship had broken down 2 days ago, and he'd been walking ever since. His water pack was almost empty. His face was covered with dust, and his boots were heavy with sand. He was not here to explore. He was just trying to survive. As the sun began to set, Eli stopped on top of a dune. He pulled out a broken scanner from his bag. The device beeped weakly. He sighed and sat down, trying to fix it with shaking hands. Suddenly, the scanner gave a strange signal. Beep, beep, beep. Eli looked at the screen. It was showing a heat pulse just a few meters ahead beneath the sand. He stood up and walked toward the signal. The sand shifted under his feet. He knelt down and began to dig. His fingers hit something hard. Brushing away the sand, he saw metal. Cold, black and smooth. It was part of a suit, armor. Slowly, he uncovered more of the body. It was shaped like a woman. Her skin was gray-blue, almost stone-like. Her face was half covered with a shattered helmet. She looked dead. But just as he reached out to touch her chest, her body twitched. Eli jumped back in shock. What the hell? He stared. Her eyes were closed. No breath came from her mouth. Her arms didn't move. Maybe he imagined it. He reached out again. This time he placed his palm gently on her chest, right above the center of her heart. And then, it happened. A small vibration, a single thump. Her lips parted, and a faint whisper came out. Protect the core. Eli's eyes widened. You're alive? She didn't answer. Her eyes stayed shut, but the scanner beeped faster now. She had a weak pulse. Something inside her, a mix of machine and organic life, was turning back on. Eli quickly pulled out his blanket and wrapped her in it. Her body was cold, too cold for someone alive. He carried her back to his small camp under a rock shelf. That night, he started a small fire with the last of his fuel sticks. The alien woman lay next to it, her body slowly warming. Eli watched her carefully. Her chest moved just a little, breathing, but weak. He wondered who she was. A soldier? A lost traveler? A machine? She didn't look like any alien he had seen before. Her armor was old, dusty, and cracked. Her body looked half mechanical. Parts of her skin had glowing lines, like old circuits. She was strange and beautiful in a sad way. Who buried you? He whispered. The fire crackled. The stars above looked cold and far. Suddenly she gasped. Her body jerked and her eyes opened for just a second. They glowed silver. Her mouth moved, whispering again. Protocol 9. Then she went still again. Eli sat frozen. What is Protocol 9? He said softly. She didn't answer. But now he knew one thing for sure. This woman was not just an accident. She had been buried on purpose. And someone had left her to die out here. But why? And why did her heart start again only when he touched her? Eli leaned back against the rock and looked at her. She wasn't just some broken machine, she was a mystery. And now, she was his responsibility. The fire was dying. Eli sat awake, staring at the strange woman lying beside the last warm flames. Her breathing was shallow but steady now. Her face, half covered in metal, looked peaceful, but something in her expression told him she had known war. He didn't sleep that night. By morning, the desert wind had covered the crawler's tracks. It was as if no one had ever come this way. The world felt forgotten, and this woman, whoever she was, had been forgotten the most. Eli moved closer and gently wiped sand from her forehead. She didn't wake, but her lips twitched. Her skin was warm now, no longer ice cold. I don't know who you are, he whispered. But you're alive. That has to mean something. As the sun climbed, he dragged her body into the shade. Carefully, he peeled away part of her armored sleeve and gasped. Her arm wasn't fully human, or even fully alien. It was a blend of synthetic muscle and living tissue braided together like vines. He had seen cybernetic limbs before, but nothing like this. This was old tech, ancient, but still beautiful. Like someone had grown the machine, not built it. Suddenly her fingers twitched, her eyes snapped open. Eli stumbled back as she sat up fast, gasping for air, her gaze locked onto him, sharp and silver. Where is the Empress? She rasped. Eli raised his hands. Hey, calm down. I'm not your enemy. She looked around, her body still shaking. She touched her chest like she couldn't believe she was still alive. What year is it? She asked, voice broken. 3429, Eli said carefully. New galactic calendar. She froze. That's over 100 years. Eli nodded slowly. You were buried for a long time. She stared at her hands. My core shut down. I was terminated, but I'm still functioning. You almost died, Eli said. I found you under the sand. Her eyes turned toward him. She studied his face for a long time. You're human, she said. Yeah. And you're? I am Kaylara, Royal Protector Unit 17, tasked with defense of the Empress of Zenthari Prime. She tried to stand, but her legs failed her, and she collapsed to one knee. Systems, damaged. Memory, fragmented. Eli stepped forward. Let me help. She flinched away. No, I don't trust you. He sighed. That makes two of us. But you were dying. I carried you out. She glanced at the fire, the blanket, the dried fruit beside her. Her glowing eyes softened. Why? She asked. Why save me? I don't know, Eli said honestly. You looked forgotten, and something about that felt wrong. Kaylara looked down. Her fingers touched the metal lines running along her chest. They pulsed softly, like a heartbeat made of light. I should not be alive, she whispered. But you are, Eli said, and maybe you came back for a reason. For a moment they sat in silence. Then, without warning, Kaylara's eyes lit up brighter. There's something inside me. A map. Data. Coordinates. She gritted her teeth, fingers clutching. The sand. A hidden vault, sealed beneath the old moon base, the core of command. It wasn't destroyed. What's inside? Eli asked. She looked at him slowly. Proof. Truth. And a weapon the Empire was afraid of. Before Eli could reply, a loud boom echoed across the dunes. Both of them froze. What was that? He whispered. Kaylara's voice dropped. Someone is tracking the signal. My reactivation wasn't silent. Eli looked toward the horizon. Dust was rising. Ships. Hunters. They had been alone in the desert, but now they were being watched. Kaylara didn't sleep that night. She sat near the fire, her silver eyes glowing gently in the darkness. Her hands rested on her knees, but her mind was far away, trapped in memories that flickered like broken video across her brain. Eli watched her from the edge of the tent. He hadn't said much since the warning shot echoed across the desert. Whoever was tracking them was still out there. But Kaylara hadn't panicked. She had simply closed her eyes and started thinking. Your fire is too bright, she said suddenly. They can see the smoke from orbit. Eli sighed. Sorry. I've never had to hide from space before. She glanced at him with something close to a smile, but it was brief, almost painful. I'm beginning to remember things, she said quietly. Like what? She turned to face him fully. The mission, the betrayal, and something more. She slowly raised her hand and touched the side of her temple. A soft hum began to rise. Then suddenly a beam of light projected from her eyes, filling the tent with a glowing map of stars. Floating symbols, ancient coordinates, lines drawn in forgotten languages. Eli stared in awe. "What is this?" he whispered. "A vault," she said. "Hidden before the Great Collapse, I was the last one to know its location." Eli reached toward one of the floating stars. His hand passed through it. "What's inside?" Kaylara looked straight at him. A record. A truth the Empress feared. It could destroy what's left of her rule, or rebuild something better. "Why you?" he asked. "I was loyal," she said. "Too loyal. When I found the truth, I refused to destroy it. So they tried to erase me." She stood, her mechanical joints clicking softly. "They buried me in the desert like I was a broken tool." "But your heart kept beating," Eli said. "No, my core shut down. It was your touch that reactivated it. I don't understand why, but it responded to you." Eli blinked. "Me?" She nodded. "You triggered a failsafe, an ancient code. Human touch, empathy. It woke me. That was never supposed to happen." Suddenly her eyes dimmed. The star map vanished. "I need to reach that vault," she said. "If I don't, all of this will happen again." Lies, war, silence. Eli stood. "Then we'll go together." She frowned. "This isn't your fight, human." "It is now," Eli said. "I didn't survive this desert just to walk away." Kaylara looked at him carefully. "You're different," she said. "Not a soldier, not a killer. But you don't back down." "I fix broken things," Eli said, picking up his toolkit. "And you seem like someone who's been broken a long time." For the first time, Kaylara didn't look angry. She looked sad. Then her head turned sharply. Her eyes glowed again. "3 life forms moving fast, 50 meters armed." "Scavengers?" Eli asked. "No, trackers, hired to collect me." Eli grabbed his gear. "We run?" Kaylara shook her head. "No, you run. I'll distract them." "No chance," Eli said, stepping beside her. "I found you. I'm staying." She paused, staring into his eyes. "Then stay close," she said. "And don't touch anything glowing unless I say so." Outside, the sand was moving. The sun hadn't even risen, but the orange glow of heat scanners lit the air. Kaylara knelt and pressed her palm to the ground. A soft pulse of energy spread out in every direction. "They're coming fast. Dune skimmers." Eli squinted. "Can we outrun them?" She stood. "No, but I can slow them down." She pulled a small disc from her waist, one of the few things that had survived the years underground. She clicked it open and tossed it into the sand. A sudden blast of light and sand shot upward, blinding and disorienting everything in the area. "Go," she shouted. They ran. As they climbed the next dune, Eli glanced back and saw 3 dark figures rising through the cloud, weapons drawn, scanning. "They won't stop," Kaylara said. "Not until they shut me down." Eli's heart pounded. "Then let's make sure you stay awake." She looked at him one last time before they vanished over the ridge. The desert wind howled again. But this time, the map in her eyes had already chosen a path. The sun rose red over the dunes. Kaylara and Eli moved fast across the desert, each step sinking into the burning sand. Her armor glinted in the light, patched now with old cloth from Eli's supply bag. Eli carried what he could: his toolkit, water flask, and a battered energy pistol that hadn't been fired in years. They didn't speak much. Only the wind did. Behind them, the sky changed. Black dots appeared in the far distance. Hoverbikes, kicking up sand clouds as they moved in a wide hunting formation. They were coming. "Scouts?" Eli asked. Kaylara nodded. "Worse. Mercenaries, paid by the old royal. Bloodlines, they want me back." "Alive?" She gave him a cold look. "Not likely." Eli tightened the strap on his bag. "We need to disappear." Kaylara knelt on the sand and pressed 2 fingers to her neck. A quiet sound escaped her lips, a coded signal. Her silver eyes flashed once. She stood up slowly. "They're scanning," For my core's energy signature. I can mask it. For a while. Eli looked over his shoulder. How long is a while? Long enough to reach the ridge, she said. There's a canyon hidden there. If we get in, we lose them. They moved quickly. Kalara's steps were silent, trained. She walked like a shadow. Eli stumbled beside her, boots sinking, lungs burning. He wasn't built for this, but he didn't stop. Not while she kept moving. By midday, the temperature had turned deadly. Eli's skin was burning even under his hood. He could see the heat rippling across the air. Kalara moved without complaint, but her breath had grown heavier. Her systems were failing. Suddenly she stopped. What? Eli asked. She pointed ahead. A dark shape stood in the sand, tall, unmoving. As they got closer, Eli realized it was a marker stone, cracked and ancient, half buried in the earth. Kalara touched the surface gently. Alien script glowed beneath her fingers. What is this? He asked. A memory point, she replied. Old warriors marked places like this, where battles were fought or friends were lost. She paused. I buried my captain here. Eli was quiet. You came here before? She nodded. Long ago, before I was betrayed. Suddenly, her head snapped up. They're near. Eli turned. 4 shapes appeared behind them, hoverbikes rising over the ridge like ghosts. Dust and engines roared across the silence. Each rider wore desert armor, visors glowing red. One of them raised a gun. Get down, Kalara shouted. The shot hit the stone, exploding it into pieces. Sand flew everywhere. Eli hit the ground, his ears ringing. Kalara didn't hide. She ran straight at them. Her body moved like lightning. Her right arm twisted, reshaping into a blade. In a flash, she leaped into the air and struck the lead rider, tearing him from his bike. The other 3 scattered. Eli watched in stunned silence. She wasn't just strong, she was deadly. The second rider turned and fired a blast. Kalara flipped through the air and landed behind him. Her fist struck the back of his helmet. One blow, and he collapsed. But the third had already spotted Eli. He sped forward, aiming his rifle. Eli stood frozen. Move, Kalara shouted. But he couldn't. His feet felt heavy. Just as the mercenary pulled the trigger, a wall of sand erupted between them. Kalara had thrown a mini-charge, blasting a shield of dust into the air. She dove through the cloud and slammed into the attacker. The 2 tumbled down the dune. When it cleared, all 4 attackers were lying in the sand. Kalara stood over them, her chest rising and falling. Blood dripped from her lip, dark and metallic. You okay? Eli called. She looked at him and nodded, then dropped to her knees. My energy is low, she whispered. Eli ran to her and helped her up. We need shelter, now. She pointed toward a rock formation in the distance. There, caverns. Together, they limped across the dunes, leaving the broken mercenaries behind. The cavern was cool and dark. Inside, Kalara collapsed. Eli opened his last water pack and gave her a few drops. Her eyes closed. I fought them, she said, voice weak. But more will come. They will keep coming. Then we go faster, Eli said. We reach the vault. We end this. She looked at him. You should leave me. He frowned. You're not getting rid of me that easy. She gave a broken smile. For someone from a desert, you have a soft heart. Eli sat beside her, exhausted. Maybe soft hearts are stronger than machines think. Outside, the wind howled again. But inside the cavern, a bond was forming, not just between a human and an alien warrior, but between a man with nothing to lose and a woman trying to remember what it means to live. The cave was cold. Drips of water echoed through the tunnels as Eli lit a small lamp. Its soft light touched the walls, showing faded markings, symbols Kalara said were older than any human colony. The air smelled of stone and dust. Safe, For now. Kaylara lay against the wall, her armor cracked and her breath slow. She had barely moved since they entered the cavern. Eli checked the scanner. They haven't followed us. She didn't reply. Her eyes were half closed. Hey, he said gently, kneeling beside her. You still with me? Kaylara gave a slow nod. Systems, at 32%. Eli sighed. I wish I knew how to fix you. She looked at him. You've already done more than I expected. Then let me do more, he said, holding out his tools. If you talk me through it, maybe I can help. Kaylara hesitated. Then, slowly, she moved her hand to her side and slid open a hidden panel in her ribcage, revealing a cluster of glowing wires and energy cells. Eli stared. You have a reactor in your chest? Core fusion, small but stable. If it fails, I die. He nodded, swallowed his fear, and got to work. As he adjusted her circuits, Kaylara began to speak, her voice quiet, like she was telling a secret. The walls weren't supposed to hear. I wasn't made to be human, she said, but I was made to protect one. The Empress? Eli asked, still focusing. Yes, Kaylara whispered. She was the last ruler of the Zenthari Empire. Beautiful, powerful, feared across systems. But she was dying, and afraid of death. So, she created you? She approved the project, Kaylara said. The scientists built me with one purpose, protect her life. I was strong, fast, loyal. But I made one mistake. Eli looked up. What? I started to feel. She blinked. The more I fought, the more I saw, the more I wanted to understand life, not just defend it. She closed her eyes. I disobeyed orders. I saved children during a rebel raid instead of securing the Empress's shuttle. She lived, but she was furious. She punished you? Kaylara nodded. She ordered me shut down. She called me defective, said I had caught emotions like a virus. Eli paused. So they buried you? She told them to erase me, but one of the engineers, he pitied me. He reprogrammed my death command into a sleep mode. Then he left me in the desert to avoid execution. Eli whispered. That's why your systems came back online. Yes, she said. But there's more. She winced and Eli paused his work. Kaylara opened her eyes wide, and her irises flickered with light. A hidden file began to play, beaming from her mind into the air above them. A flickering hologram appeared. It was the Empress, younger, beautiful, with silver hair and eyes like stars. Begin record, her voice said. If anyone finds this, know that I lied to my people. The vault beneath Moonbase Echo contains my greatest fear. The truth about what we did to keep control. The purge, the rewritten histories, the children taken for experiments. The hologram glitched, then returned. If Kaylara reaches the vault, she has my secrets. Secrets that could undo everything I built. Then the message ended. Eli's mouth hung open. You carry this? He asked. Kaylara gave a tired nod. I was built to protect a queen. Now I carry proof that she was a tyrant. Eli sat beside her, overwhelmed. So this is why they want you gone. She turned her head to face him. And this is why I must reach the vault, not for revenge, but so others never become what she did. Suddenly the scanner beeped. Movement. Kaylara tried to stand but stumbled. They're getting close, Eli said. We can't stay here. Kaylara reached out and grabbed his wrist. There's a path, a tunnel through the mountain. It leads to an old starport. If we can reach it, we can find a ship. Eli nodded. Then we move. He helped her to her feet. As they stepped deeper into the tunnels, Kaylara whispered one last thing. My heart was never supposed to feel. But now, it beats not for orders, not for duty, but for something else. Eli looked back at her, confused. But she just walked ahead, tired, wounded, but with purpose in every step. The Empress's secret was no longer hidden, and Kailara was ready to show the galaxy the truth that nearly killed her. The tunnel opened to a red sky. Eli helped Kailara climb over the rocks as they stepped out of the mountain. The wind was sharp now, colder, faster, filled with grit that stung their faces. But what lay ahead froze them both. Smoke. Black smoke, rising in thick clouds. Below them, across the ridge, stood the remains of an old starport, long buried by sand and war. Its towers were broken, ships rusted in the distance like fallen bones. But more importantly, lights were on. They found... At first, Kailara whispered. Eli raised his scope. 3 hovercrafts, maybe 20 armed men. All mercenaries. Scanning, shouting, searching. They knew where we were heading, he said. Kailara nodded slowly. They've read my trail. And they know I won't run. She looked down at the battlefield like a ghost revisiting her grave. I must go in, Eli frowned. There are too many. I'm not asking you to follow, she said. He clenched his fists. And I'm not leaving you alone. Kailara turned to him. If I die there, the truth dies with me. Then we make sure you live, Eli said. Even if it means I don't. She paused. Her hand reached toward his chest, not with a weapon but soft. Human. Why do you care this much? Eli gave a tired smile. Because you're the only one I've met who was more human than most people I know. Kailara closed her eyes for a moment. Then she stood tall. We go together. They slid down the ridge as quietly as they could. Eli carried a makeshift EMP bomb built from scrap. Kailara carried her blade arm, sharpened and now glowing faintly blue. At the edge of the starport, Kailara paused and whispered, There's an access hatch. Left tower. I can get inside and reach. The core terminal. What about the guards? Eli asked. She looked at him. Can you cause a distraction? He swallowed. I'll try not to die. Kailara nodded. Try hard. Then she vanished into the shadows. Eli crept around a stack of old engine parts. He found a fuel tank and some dry cables, then wired his EMP bomb. He looked up, saw the patrol passing, and waited. 3, 2, 1. Boom. The device exploded in a flash of light, sending a shockwave through the area. Lights went out. Alarms screamed. Guards panicked and scattered, shooting into the darkness. Kailara moved like lightning through the chaos. She entered the tower, climbed broken stairs, and reached the locked terminal room. Inside stood a tall man in black armor, a royal hunter, elite and cold. I knew you'd come, he said. Kailara said nothing. Her body moved first. The fight was brutal. Blades against armor, sparks against blood. He struck her in the ribs. Metal cracked. She stabbed back. His shoulder bled silver. He grabbed her throat. You should have stayed dead. Kailara gritted, her teeth. Then why does my heart still beat? She drove her blade into his chest. He fell. She staggered forward and touched the terminal. Her coat unlocked it. Files opened. Holograms rose. Thousands of hidden records, proof of the Empress's crimes, names of the stolen, locations of hidden labs, the full truth of the purge. She sent the data burst through an old satellite uplink, broadcasting it to the outer colonies, rebel systems, even neutral zones. Truth couldn't be stopped now. Outside, Eli was pinned behind a wall, wounded, holding off 2 guards with a broken blaster. His hand bled and smoke filled his lungs. Suddenly, Kailara appeared behind the guards. Her blade flashed once, then again. They dropped. Eli coughed. Took you long enough. She knelt beside him, pulled him up. You did it, he said, looking at the stars above. The signal, it's out. Kailara helped him walk. We're not finished yet. A final ship descended, black, sleek, deadly. The last royal enforcer stepped out, taller than the rest, eyes glowing gold. He pointed at Kailara. Defective. You carry stolen fire. Kailara stepped forward. I carry truth. They charged. The final battle burned like fire under the twin suns. Kalara's armor cracked. Eli fired his last shot. The enforcer struck hard, crushing her shoulder, but she didn't stop. She launched herself with everything she had left, her blade sinking deep into the enforcer's chest. He fell. She collapsed. Eli crawled to her side. "No. Stay with me," he whispered. Kalara's body flickered. Her voice trembled. "Eli, you were the first person who didn't fear me." "I saw you," he said, holding her hand. "You weren't a weapon, you were alive." Her eyes blinked slowly. "I feel something. Is this peace?" He held her tighter. "This is life." And her heart beat. One last strong pulse. Before, going still in his arms, the desert was quiet again. The battle was over. Eli sat in the sand, holding Kalara's body in his arms. Her silver eyes were closed. Her skin, once glowing with light, was dim and cracked. The blade on her arm had gone still. The strange rhythm of her core had stopped. She wasn't breathing. "Please," Eli whispered, voice shaking. "You don't get to leave now." He pressed his forehead to hers. Dust blew around them. The old starport burned in the distance. Ships were falling from the sky. Scattered mercenaries retreating now that the truth had been released. Everyone had heard it. The Empress's lies. The crimes. The purge. Kalara had done it. She had saved them all. But now, she was gone. Eli looked down at her one more time. His hand touched the center of her chest, just like that first day, buried under the sands. "Please," he whispered again. "Wake up like before." Nothing. The wind howled. Then, just as he pulled his hand away, a spark. Faint. Barely there. He froze. Her chest gave one weak rise, then another. Her fingers twitched. Her eyes opened, slowly, as if coming from deep sleep. The silver glow returned, soft but real. "Eli?" she said, voice barely a breath. He laughed, wet and full of relief. "You came back. I felt your touch," she whispered. Again. He helped her sit up slowly. Her body was weak, but something was different. The light in her chest didn't flicker like before. It glowed, steady, warm, alive. "You're not just a machine," Eli said, watching her. "Not anymore." Kalara looked down at herself, her hands, her chest. She touched her heart. Then she whispered something that shocked even her. "I can feel it, beating, really beating." "You're alive," he said. She looked up at him, eyes wide. "My systems, they've changed. Something's rewritten. My core is running. On something else." Eli nodded. "Maybe not just energy anymore. Maybe something deeper." She stared at him for a long moment, then softly, "Was this your plan all along? Fixing broken things?" He chuckled. "Only if they're worth fixing." She smiled faintly. By nightfall, they sat together near the edge of the canyon, looking out at the stars. The truth had spread across systems. Rebellion had already begun to stir in distant corners of the galaxy. The Empress's era was ending. But Eli didn't care about the stars just now. He was watching Kalara. She moved slower now, but not like before. She wasn't just recovering. She was learning how to live. She took small bites of food, touched the cold stone like it was something new, listened to the wind as if hearing it for the first time. "You know," she said, "I was never meant to survive this long." Eli smiled. "Yeah, and yet here you are." She looked at him. "What do I do now? My mission is over." "Maybe," Eli said. "You start a new one." "Doing what?" "Living," he said. "Whatever that means to you." She nodded slowly, thoughtful. Then she looked at him. "I don't want to be alone." "You won't be," Eli said without hesitation. She looked away, quiet for a moment, then asked, "Is this what love feels like?" Eli didn't rush to answer. He just took her hand. If it is, he said, then maybe we're both learning together. Lara looked down at their hands, then at the stars. And for the first time in her life, her heart beat not by design, not by programming, but because it wanted to, because it had chosen to. Final scene weeks later, a new ship lifted into the sky, quiet, fast, shaped like a desert wind. Inside it, Eli piloted, hands steady on the controls. Beside him, Lara stood in new armor, not of war but of peace, a symbol of truth on her chest, her heart beating strong. They didn't run from the galaxy anymore. They were heading toward it, together.